We are your hosts.
Okay.
I'm left.
And I'm right. Alright, welcome to our premiere show, Left, Right, and Blue. I'm Tim Wonder, and this is Russ Willi.
Hello.
And what we are going to do is talk about liberal versus conservative views. I'm the conservative,
Clearly.
and Russ is the weirdo liberal. So, to give you a little intro of what we have been through in our lives is we met in, I guess, the late 80s.
Not that
And
bad.
we basically grew up together, goofing around, working together, and arguing about politics, and still being friends. And that's the whole gist of everything.
Kind of the idea.
Being friends, still being close, and not worrying about shutting doors on each other outside of the political realm. So our show is going to talk about different aspects of news stories that I may have not heard of watching my conservative shows, and Russ may not hear about things on the conservative shows. And did I say that twice? And I haven't heard things on the liberal
He's going to tell me
shows.
stuff that I probably haven't heard. I'm going to tell him stuff he probably hasn't heard.
So,
And then we're going to drink some alcohol while we do it.
so yeah. Speaking of which, what do you got today for our alcohol
so
of the day?
on our alcohol of the day, I have brought a farmhouse ale. It is by Wicked Weed, and it is called the Funkatorium. So sometimes the label is all you need to see, and we're going to try a fermented grape farmhouse ale. This particular one is called La Bonté Rosé. So let's give this sucker a try. It's got grapes on the cap, which is kind of cool. And if I can open it, that's awesome. All right, here we go. Flagship. Oh, look at the color. I wasn't expecting that. No, it's kind of, yeah.
Urine yellow.
Now, it's really carbonated, like a lot of farmhouse ales are.
Okay.
So here we go.
It kind of smells like
Yeah,
farmhouse.
it's supposed to actually. Flagship,
To
initial,
our
there we
first
go.
show. All right.
Oh, that smells neat. Here we go.
Flaccid
Ready?
yet manure.
Complex yet absurd.
Very interesting.
It's a little sour.
It's sour. Yeah.
Kind of those that,
It's like citrusy.
you know, like that thing, like, whatever that.
Okay. All right. That's doable.
I don't know what the ABV on this is.
Oh,
I take it back. I take it back.
Broadcast vehicles.
No.
ABV. What is that?
Alcohol by volume.
Ah.
Yeah. So
I just drink it.
5.3. Okay, so this is a 5.3. So this is going to hover around like your standard, domestic beer. About that kind of, yeah.
All right. Very good. Wicked Weed. Funkatorium. All right. So give it a shot.
All right, here we go. Tim, what do you want to talk about?
So I want to bring up, this is our 4th of July week. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Happy Independence Day. Happy Treason Day, if you're from England. A lot of people have been... A lot of people have been condemning the 4th of July with all that's been going on in the Roe thing and
The Roe thing?
You know,
that pesky Roe
with
thing.
politics. And I just want to say that, no matter my opinion, no matter what's going on, we still have a wonderful country. I mean, that's the whole point of our country, and celebrating that we can speak up and say how crappy the government is and how bad things are going. But
Sure.
in the bottom, the essence of the celebrating of Independence Day is the fact that we broke away from British tyranny. And if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be here probably doing this. It would be, I was thinking about this, and then hear me out. If we were under tyranny of Britain,
Right.
like all the other colonial places at the time.
Fair.
You know, think about the islands and think about Africa. A lot of the countries in Africa were colonies of Great Britain.
Correct.
They wound up being eventually independent little countries.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But they're basically third world countries for the most part. Most of them.
Okay.
Because they're small. They don't have the resources
Right.
as individual independent countries.
Correct. Yeah.
Whereas that probably would have happened to us because we had the French, we had the Spanish, we had our little English, we had different colonies that
Right.
make up. So I'm thinking if it wasn't for the breakup of independence, the breaking away from Europe, it would be the same way. North America would be a little French and Spanish and English and Dutch and little tiny little shitty countries.
I don't disagree with you. I think for some people with things that are kind of going on in the news lately, some people don't feel very patriotic. Some people don't feel as if they live in a free country. Now, kind of how people respond and react to that. You know, I'm one of those folks that kind of go, I'm glad I live in a country where you can burn a flag, but I think it's really lousy to burn a flag. Right. You know, there is still symbolism and respect that I think is due. However, I think both you and I, kind of growing up where we grew up, I think sometimes folks that maybe grew up somewhere else may not have that sense of patriotism or that sense of community that perhaps you and I were lucky to kind of have growing up.
Sure. You're talking about socioeconomical.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking
So
about.
within the, our country. Okay,
Right.
I thought you were talking about other countries.
No. Within the United States.
But as a whole,
Mhm.
politics aside, you have to look at the whole premise of our country. Is the Constitution perfect? No.
No.
Were the founding fathers perfect? No.
No.
But they had some amazing ideas that
Mhm.
makes our country the greatest in the world, in my opinion. So there are a lot of countries out there that cannot do all the things that we do, and therefore we should be thankful for the fact that we have the ability to change our Constitution. We have the ability to grow,
Right.
to adapt, to elect our officials, to change all of those things and make it a better country and change for the better. Or for the worse sometimes, but there's going to be positives and negatives throughout history. There's been bad times in history. Mm-hmm. There's been good times in history. It goes back and forth, but to just blanketly not celebrate the birthday of our country, I think is narrow-minded. I think it's not. You should be patriotic. You should be thankful that you live here because it's very easy to have grown up in a country that's not as fortunate. And there's a reason why there's so many migrants coming over here, and we're going to get to that later.
We'll talk about that later. I appreciate the sentimentality, and I appreciate the kind of star-spangled awesomeness perspective. However, there's actual facts that we can refer to. Like, what are we number one at? Like, we're not number one in education. We're not, right? We're not number one in even just like healthy birth rates, life expectancy, access to health care. There's a lot of areas in this country where someone could go. I don't know how number one we are. You know what we are number one at? We are number one at military spending, and we're number one at incarceration of our citizens, right? So I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but we're about 7-8% of the world's population, and we're about 20% of the world's incarcerated.
Well, so you can look at statistics, and for every statistic that you give me, I'm going to give you a statistic that says the opposite.
That's why we're here.
That's why statistics are very easy to manipulate. But it's not about being number one. It's about being proud of where we are and how we can better and get to be number one in those areas. And we have the opportunity, and that's what our country is all about, is opportunity to do whatever you want to do, to become whoever you want to be. It's not saying that it's guaranteed. Way to
I
go.
was waiting for you.
I'm saying the opportunity is there, though. You have the opportunity, whereas other countries you don't have that.
I
opportunity.
think we got to be careful with the use of the word opportunity. Like, I agree.
The resources are there for you to take advantage of. Can they be improved? Sure.
Yeah,
But I don't think. I think that all these things are reasons that we still should be able to celebrate this country and its birthday.
Oh, yeah,
And that's the whole point I'm trying to make for this block. It's a birthday for our country.
Mm-hmm.
We should be happy that we live in a country that has the freedoms that we do.
I will.
And I'm not saying that we have to say, oh, we're number one in this, we're number one. No, I'm just saying we should be happy. We should celebrate the fact that we live in a great country. That's it. And I think that when those people that say that, oh, I'm boycotting. Yeah, okay, you're making your point that you're against the government, but why ruin the whole birthday, the whole celebration? Think of it as a person you're crashing in on their birthday party and saying,
I need to this cake.
Billy, his birthday today. I'm boycotting you because he called me a bad name. It's kind of like babyish. I don't know. It's just.
I think the time of attending to the thoughts and ideas of celebrities that probably will never understand a life that you and I typically lead. I think those times are dwindling. I think there was a moment when we were really concerned about what certain people say. I know there are certain celebrities that I sometimes attend to because I agree with their thinking, but it's not implied because they're who they are that I'm going to agree with what they're saying, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I don't really listen to any celebrity. I mean, it's just another person to me that has an opinion, which is fine. I may agree, I may disagree, but they're not going to really influence me.
No, but if you have a platform and you're passionate about a thing, I respect someone trying to use that platform for that thing.
I suppose.
Yeah, I respect that.
To bash it, though, to the point where you're cursing it.
You
always have the opportunity, again, you have the opportunity to move to another country, to move. And I certainly don't think that president should be bringing up all these negative things about how awful our country is on Independence Day.
Right.
Postpone it to another day and then say it. Okay? Well, we'll be back in a little bit with Russ talking about shootings in suburbia.
Nice. We're back. Tim, me, I'm Russ, the Wicked Weed, which I think we're enjoying this. Are we enjoying this? I like this. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go out and buy a six-pack.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a
once in a while kind of.
Yeah, something fun.
Single.
Yeah, which is kind of what we're doing today. I like to challenge Tim with some beverages I sometimes enjoy. But something that I wanted to discuss. I mean, obviously, if you own a cell phone or a television, you're aware of the 4th of July shooting. And for me, this was a little unique, if you could say that at this point. But, I grew up in a town in New Jersey that had one of the largest 4th of July parades in the country when I was a child. I remember the original MTV VJs being in our parade in my town.
Wow.
Yeah, that
You're
was
old.
Yeah, I'm old. Yeah, so there was
Martha Quinn.
kids. That was a show that played videos.
That was when MTV played videos. Music videos.
It was like the first it was like 7 or 8 videos just on a loop over and over and over again. But yeah, so in a really nice suburb on a really nice day on a really great 4th of July. The count now is 7, I think.
40 injured or something.
Yeah, 40 some odd injured people. And I kind of think there was a time where some folks could, possibly put their head in the sand a little bit and kind of go, well, that's not my town. That's not where, I don't live in a violent town. I don't live in a big city. So the reason I picked this is that, what do we do now? Is there a point where, we as citizens have to kind of decide that certain things are just not acceptable anymore? Because it seems pretty clear that politically, it just seems it looks like a tennis match to me. It just kind of goes back and forth. There's the folks on the right that with the loudest voices that just kind of go, it's our Second Amendment right? And then there's these folks on the left that are like, we're taking away all your guns. And literally nothing seems to happen. And I guess my question is, or my thought is, or what I'd like to hear from you is, you admit that there's a problem, right? That we've got a problem with people being shot in this country.
Sure.
Yeah. And if you look at mass shooting rates in the United States and compared to other first world countries, the only variable that I can really see is gun ownership and access to guns. If you bring up mental health, which seems to be the thing in the news right now, we like to bring up mental health. But mental health rates are pretty consistent across countries, right? So we know that it's data that's collected. There's a certain amount of people that are going to have depression, a certain amount of people that are going to have, bipolar disorder, a certain amount of people, and that's pretty consistent. But in this country, we seem to have mass shooting rates on an almost daily basis. And I guess I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, it's not every day. There are a lot. But I do agree that there should be a middle ground. There shouldn't be a total ban on guns, but yet certain guns I can see that there's no reason to make it so easy for access.
And I'm going to interrupt you because I seem to hear this, and it's this idea of they're coming for your guns, or we're going to ban guns. I literally don't know anyone who thinks or feels that way.
Well, there's bills out there that right now that
right,
ban
but you and I both know that that's never going to.
How do you know? How do I don't? I don't know.
Well,
because all it takes is a Senate, a Congress, and a President that all agree that there should be no guns, and they will put that law into effect, and there will be an uprising.
Right.
It's not going to be easy, and that's why I think they don't do that. They talk the talk, but there's just too many law-abiding citizens out there that should have guns.
No,
okay.
I don't, and most liberals I know don't have a problem with gun ownership. Most liberals I know, if you feel like you want a concealed carry for your own personal protection, most liberals I know are okay with that. If you want to have a shotgun of some sort for protection of your home or your property, most Americans that I know, most liberals I know, don't have a problem with that. But I was driving to work and just heard the audio of the gunfire because I was listening to and the rate of fire of some of these weapons is there's a lapse in common sense. This, if we didn't call this a gun and we called it something else, I think maybe we get confused with the Second Amendment or whatever. But there is no reason. There is no reason. We live in a community. You and I are parents. I do not want someone in my community just what happened to community safety?
Well, you brought up mental illness before. All these issues are exactly that. They're issues that need to be addressed. From do you need these guns? And the AR-15 is not an assault weapon, but it does shoot. You can get the high capacity magazines and all that. I think there just needs to be a little better screening on who gets those kinds of guns.
You do agree.
There should be. It's certain individuals. It's a rifle, and if you want to use that rifle for whatever reason you want to use it, whether it be target practice or hunting, then you can't decide for somebody.
Well, an AR-15 is generally speaking not a hunting weapon.
It's a show gun.
Yeah,
like I
mean,
said, leave it up to the states. Leave it up to the people. If you want to make it a little more difficult to receive one gun or have it for certain type training, everybody brings up the whole military thing. You get 18 to vote, 18 to be in the military, and all that stuff. And maybe it should be raised for gun ownership,
right.
Just a little bit.
But,
or if you can get a weapon that, like an AR-15 or whatever, that is, many compare it to military grade weapons, but military grade weapons are not for sale. But if you want to give them training like in the military, then I'm all for that. A little more training before you can get a gun like that.
Even the most trained, like deadliest military force on the planet, our U.S. military, right? Those guys don't have access to their guns all the time. Those guns are stored.
Sure.
Right? Like the most highly trained special force.
My dog.
Tim's dog. It was my dog very briefly, but then he was returned.
So what do you mean the store? You mean
like a Marine does not live in the same space that their gun is. A gun is in a separate building, locked up.
Oh, you mean? Oh, okay.
Yeah, like so the day in and day out of the most highly trained killing force in the world does not have access to high capacity magazines.
But these high capacity magazines, nobody does really. I mean, these weapons are these military grade weapons that you're talking about. That's not what's being used in these mass shootings. These aren't military people. These are people that are getting these AR-15s off the store. And like I said, if you, for the most part,
but I mean, you saw the news conference. You saw that they couldn't even they had to use DNA to identify certain people.
I understand.
Like that's not.
Believe me, I prefer that. My biggest concern is when you start taking away specific guns, it gets to the point where does it end?
No, I understand.
And then we get into the point where, if for some reason we did all agree to turn in all our guns,
but no one's asking.
But I'm saying that has happened in the past in other countries.
No, we had an assault rifle ban in this country for a very long time.
Yeah. But this isn't an assault rifle.
But the rates of these mass shootings wasn't as high.
Well, even before before the assault rifle ban, whatever. It's the beer.
It's not half a beer.
We still, there was a time where everybody had gun racks, or not
right,
everybody, but a lot of people, but these things were not going on. So there's something else there.
I don't disagree.
And I'm pointing the finger at social media and the fact that people, there's this thing about having to stick out. Look at all these kids that are these mass shooters. They're all the same type of person.
Oh, I don't disagree.
And I think that is where they need to start really looking. And by cutting off what's going to stop them from driving a car through that parade?
No. That is a fair argument. But a car, let me rephrase it. A gun is doing its job when it shoots 40, 50, 60 people at the Pulse nightclub. It's doing what it was designed to do, right? And even if you look at cars, when there's an accident in a car, we'll do stuff with improving the quality of the tires, seatbelts, airbags. We will do all kinds of things. One knucklehead tried to sneak something on an airplane in his shoe, and now we're spending the entire country is taking their shoes off to get on an airplane. And I just feel like this is the one subject where we're just stuck on this. And in the meantime, it'll probably be another week, and then we're gonna hear about another mass shooting.
Hopefully not.
And so, anyway. Cheers. We'll be right back.
back to the first show of Left, Right, and Blue. Right that time. Russ has another beer to
Here we
share.
go. This is actually a hard cider. I'm a little surprised with myself. I brought no beer. All right.
Wow.
Well,
it doesn't
the
have to be
farmhouse
beer.
ale was a beer.
It doesn't have to be beer.
Right.
It's a drink.
It's a drink. So,
Alcoholic drink.
this is by Bee Nectar, and it's called Blood Amulet. I've never had it, but in
Can't go wrong with a
Hawaii,
beer that tastes like
Indiana,
blood.
and Maine, you can get a nickel if you turn this back in.
All right.
Yeah, so that's good.
All right, crack her open.
Let's
Hold on, I gotta.
Tim, the only question is, do you dare attune yourself to the blood amulet and learn where its true power lies?
Okay, sure.
Here we go. Oh, it's pink.
Of course it is. Because it's the blood amulet. So I'm basically drinking iron and blood.
Yeah, this is going to be raspberry cranberry cider. Cheers.
All right, cheers. Let's not
All right.
smell the other one in the farmhouse. Still smells like pig nesting.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's
Oh,
got you. Yeah, that's you. That's a
pretty
Tim
good.
thing. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. That's pretty good. That's a drinker right there. That's a sitting around the pool. Yeah.
A little tang at the
A
end.
little bit. That's the cranberry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like it. I like
It's
it.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. So I don't know if you heard, but Texas, many of the counties there have actually are thinking about declaring an invasion
Right.
on the books because of all the migrants. There's something like 230,000 migrants since May.
Yeah.
It's funny because well, not funny, but interesting that none of your liberal stations cover much about the border. And whereas I was talking to you about it last week, and you were like, "What? The truck thing," and that has been top story news.
And that's exactly what I did.
Just like that. So, what the counties are doing, they're calling this an invasion for legal purposes, so they can, since the federal government's not doing anything about it,
Right.
or very little about it. Mayorkas is saying that, oh, the border's fine and everybody's doing a great job. He literally said that 2 days ago. Whereas all these people are coming over, people are dying, migrants are dying. The 40 people in the truck that
Was
died.
it 40? It was like 50.
They could,
Yeah, I mean, it was a
bad.
ridiculous
It's
amount.
bad.
Yeah, it
It's
was
bad.
terrible.
And yet they still come over. So this gives the governors a little reason, a little legal leeway to incorporate National Guard
Right.
and state police to actually taking some of these migrants and sending them back to Mexico. So my question to you
Okay.
is why? Actually, it's a two-part question.
Okay.
Okay, so part one is why does President Biden want all of these illegal migrants over? Now, I know that some of them are, most of them are probably hard workers, which I don't have a problem with coming over here. They're probably not going to bash our country.
Right.
They're going to work hard.
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Don't have a problem with that, but the fact that there are ways that they can go about it, and it needs to be done. But why does President Biden want all these people, good and some bad, to come over here, not to mention all the drugs that are coming over? I don't know what their motive is, because they're certainly not coming over and voting Democratic, because
Well, they're not coming over and voting.
the Hispanic, well, some states want them to vote, but once they do get citizenship, if they do go that route, they're not going to vote Democrat. It's already been shown that many Hispanic groups are voting Republican. now.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I can't figure out what his motive is, unless he just doesn't give a crap.
I don't.
Oh, part B.
Oh, part two part. Part one.
B.
Part B.
Part one. Part B. And the second one is, I understand that a lot of the liberals hated, and I mean hated with lividity, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Why would you take away the former president's policies that did work? The return to Mexico, the Mexican stay in Mexico laws that were working perfectly well.
Okay.
Was it really? It seems like it was spite, just to blanketly take away all of his policies that were working.
Okay. Well,
so
let's be careful that. Okay. Right. we can't have short-term memory on this. So we got to remember that when the last guy was in charge, for at least the first 6 months, the only thing he was doing was attempting to overturn everything Obama had done. He was vocal about that. He wasn't even trying to act like he wasn't doing that. So we need to kind of balance that concern, because your guy did that just as much. The return to Mexico policy, a lot of these people aren't Mexican. All right, so we got to keep that in mind. They're coming from Guatemala, Honduras.
Sure.
Yeah. And there is a drug problem down there.
It's not necessarily a return to Mexico, it's a stay in Mexico.
Right, so why is that Mexico's responsibility?
It is once they let them into their borders.
But they're not being...
But they can stop them at their border before they get
Right, but we can't stop them at ours. So why do we think Mexico can stop them at theirs? And we clearly have... Well, no, I don't know that we can.
It was working. It was working.
The numbers went down.
The numbers were ridiculously low.
The numbers went down.
In the last 4 years before.
But we also had, as policy, separation of parents and children. That was a policy.
That was still happening.
No. It was happening when there was a difficulty with identifying who people were. Because there was people coming over that didn't have identification, and there was concern over the well-being of children. So, but that's not what the last guy did. The last guy did, we're just separating all adults and all kids. There was a concern over just the humanity of that. You and I would agree that most people crossing over the border are not drug dealers and rapists and murderers. We would agree on that.
Majority are good people.
Yeah,
Sure.
Statistically speaking, folks that are undocumented folks in this country,
it's still
per capita engage in much less crime than native citizens.
But the point is, they're encouraging this horrendous trek. This dangerous trek, and people are dying.
I don't know
These good people
right.
are dying. Where there should be things in place, policies in place that keep them over there, and so they can come in a legal way.
Well, there is a legal way. There is
exactly.
A legal way.
So they need to stay over there. They need to plan. These people are coming over in caravans, and when you interview them, and you're not seeing this on your liberal channels, but you're seeing them on Fox and OAU, whatever it's called.
OAN.
Yeah. You can see the interviews, and they say, why are you coming over here? They're not saying global warming. They're not saying it's too hot. They're not saying because of persecution. They're saying because Joe Biden said it was okay, come on over. And they literally say, Joe Biden is great, and we're going over there for a better life.
I don't know that is going... I mean, I'm sure if you have someone on camera that does that, that's going to make it on TV. I'm quite sure of that.
Well, but I'm not seeing all the other interviews.
Right, no, I'm sure you're not.
But why not? If it was happening...
Because someone that's just crossing over the border to get a job is not exciting.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, and a lot of these people are leaving...
Why they're coming over. These big caravans from Guatemala and Honduras.
The short side of it for me is this. Places like Honduras, Venezuela... I believe Honduras was called like the murder capital of the world.
Yeah, it's correct.
The place is run
but why
by
are you
drug
letting
lords.
all these people come in?
So
just free
my
flow?
My question would be, if the United States is the primary consumer of these illegal drugs, in other words, we are essentially funding that criminality that is causing people to flee. Do we have a responsibility on some level to accept people? Do we have... Now, granted, the system is screwed. There is no one could have anticipated 200,000 people crossing a border in 30 days. There's no system that's going to take that in. So the question becomes, what do we do in the meantime?
Well,
how do we keep people safe?
They got to do something.
I don't disagree.
And our government right now is not doing anything.
I am not disagreeing that.
Hence the fact that the governors are taking a stand because think about it. These people are crossing the border. And yes, many of them are good people, but still, they have nowhere to go.
Right.
They have no money or very little money.
Right.
They're coming into their neighborhoods. These counties that in Texas, they're coming in and then coming into your neighborhood.
Right.
What would you do with all these people in your neighborhood, in your house? Something has to be done.
I don't disagree.
And the first step, I know it's harsh, but they got to close that border down.
I don't think there's a physical way to do that.
Physical border. The wall was working.
The
wall was working. You can put up deterrents. I'm not talking about it's going to be 100%.
No.
But it will deter people from coming over in these 100,000 person caravans. So I just think something has to be done.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
We'll be right back.
And we're back. This is the part of the show where we agreed we would make things a little bit lighter.
We haven't killed each other.
Yeah, so far so good.
Hasn't been any wrestling match.
He typically wins those.
So
there was an article in Time magazine. It's right here. All right. America's best astrophysicists are taking UFOs seriously. Maybe you should too. And I think Tim and I are kind of on the same page with this. Tim, are UFOs real, and have they come to visit us?
Yes.
Do you think they've actually come to visit the
I
country?
think they've been here since before we were even here. That's what, hey, I am a big believer. I am open to anything. I am a Christian and I have faith, but I'm also open to listening to other religions and theories about, because it's not the end all be all.
Have you come here to kick ass and chew bubblegum?
And my eyes are green.
And you're all out of bubblegum?
And I'm all out of bubblegum. No, the green eye thing, no, that's the genetic part of the DNA that is unknown. So that's another episode. But no, I think that you look at all the hieroglyphics, but the ancient evidence with all the writings that all the different places around the world that say the same thing.
Similar stories.
About the ancients.
Yeah.
You gotta be open to the possibility. You gotta think that with all those billions and billions of stars, that especially since our sun is fairly new, when you're talking about the age of different stars out there, there are stars out there that are billions of years, and planets that have been there for billions of years before.
Can't even comprehend.
And what we have accomplished in just a million years as humans, what would we be able to accomplish if we were here for billions?
No doubt.
Multiple billions. We should be able to travel distances, discover wormholes.
If you just look at the number of galaxies with the limited technology we have, if you could just, I read
so small. It's just a small number.
It's there's pinprick. We can't even fathom the size, and to just assume that there's life on this planet it's mathematical. It's ridiculous.
Right.
It's ridiculous. So really, the only discussion is, has that life ever come here? And my answer is, I don't know.
Well,
I think we have a tendency to try to fill in blanks.
None of us.
I think we try to, you know what I mean? Like, so if we see something, I think it's just kind of human nature to kind of go, we got to have an answer to what we saw, And again, there was, for the bulk of the time that humans were on this planet, we thought we could take a boat and fall off of it.
Sure.
So I don't know how reliable some of this stuff that we're seeing. Someone goes into a pyramid 3,000 years ago and there's a picture of the thing in the sky and it looks like a UFO, but I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, it's just a matter. I'm a science guy, so when you look at the science of it, it's too coincidental that different civilizations are saying the same thing. There are places in Peru that have rock formations that are cut with different rocks that are put on top of each other with such a small space that even our engineers with our current cutting tools would have difficulty doing.
Right.
And it's things like that make you go, and make you wonder, well, what is it? What's the Occam's razor of this? I don't know if you're familiar with Occam's razor, which is the simplest explanation, is usually the truth.
Right.
So is it possible that the peoples of that time or had somebody, an overseer watching them that was more advanced than them.
Yeah, but we don't know. But we also have to be careful not to fill in the blank.
What's
right?
the blank?
Like the part that we don't know. We don't know how those were cut.
But that's a theory.
It's a theory.
It's
right,
science fiction.
Yeah.
All science fact was at one point science fiction. So right now our science fiction maybe science fact someday.
Maybe.
But we'll never. We just have to be a little open-minded to could it be? Look at the evidence. Look at what's out there. See some of the scientific aspects of it. For example, the pyramid. You said first of all, there's no writing in the pyramid. There was no tombs, no bodies.
I don't know.
I know. I'm telling you, there's no bodies. They thought it was a tomb,
right?
But there was no sarcophagus.
Nothing.
There's nothing in there. But what they do think, based on the way the corridors go and the magnetic flow from the Earth itself, that it could have been some kind of power plant.
Oh.
Yes. And that the astrophysicist and the physicist that you were just talking about, they have looked at that, and there are people that actually believe that could have been some kind of power plant of the time. We don't see what it actually looked like. Remember, the rock formation is just what's left over.
It's what's left over. So there could have been
thousands of years ago. In fact, it only takes about 100 or so, 200 years for metals and stuff to break down. If they have a metal structure around the pyramid,
you probably wouldn't see
it.
Wouldn't see much of it. Yeah.
So who's to say that these civilizations weren't?
So the pyramid. What you're suggesting is perhaps a pyramid is a skeleton.
It's a rock
Possibly.
formation.
Yeah, it's the leftovers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So,
all right.
But no, I'm open to it. And when you have government officials collaborating and coming out, and
that's the part for me that I'm like.
that's when you
that's
guys,
kind of a big deal.
If they're even acknowledging the fact that UAPs or UFOs, same difference, are possible. I mean, they're unidentified.
Right.
And if they can't identify them, if they're not ours, they're not theirs.
Right.
Whose are they?
What is that? Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And when they respond, when you have Navy pilots going, I've never seen anything go that fast or change the direction. Neil Armstrong himself said what was the quote that he said? When he came back, he said, we were being watched.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yes, when they came back from the moon landing, Neil Armstrong said that we were being watched the whole time.
Huh.
And there was a time that they blacked out the audio, and there was a missing portion of the moon landing. What the heck did they do to it, man? Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder what was going on there. And the fact that they said, Armstrong said that there were crafts in a distance on the hills and the mountains, and watching them every move.
Wait. Hold on, time out. Neil Armstrong said that he saw unidentified crafts on the surface of the moon.
He said that we were being watched the
Okay.
whole time by these crafts on the horizon.
Okay.
It may
Next
not
week
be
I'll let you know.
Okay, I'm just saying. I
take
do
a
know
look.
that we were being watched the whole time.
Okay.
And he wasn't talking about TV.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
And he said this later when he got older.
So with the limited time we have left on this topic, Area 51. Is there a downed ship there? Is there dead aliens there?
I think maybe at one point. They're
But
not
not
there
anymore.
now.
Yeah.
The question is where are there's more places that what was the place in Ohio that they rumored had it they were taken away, but they have that physicist that came out. I can't remember his name offhand, but he had said, and he wrote lots of books, and he talked about what he was working on, and they tried to silence him and tried to discredit him, and he was there working.
Huh. Don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool thing. And one more thing that's really interesting is the former Canadian defense minister.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, pretty high position.
You'd think, yeah.
He went before Congress and other national congresses, and had said that in his older age that he is going to just reveal that the fact that there are
like his last dying word is going to be like,
I'm saying he's an older guy, but he's obviously sworn to secrecy. He's not his top secret stuff. That there are, I think, 4 distinct alien races out
like species.
there. Species.
Okay.
That they have been in contact with over the years. And they call it like the Federation. And we talk, you joke about Star Trek being the Federation of Planets. It's similar to that that there was, and they
But
went
you
through
can
all,
see where that if that was real,
right.
you can see where perhaps folks wouldn't want us to know that information.
Of course not.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, look what happened with the COVID virus. When people get all this too much knowledge, they start thinking, and it gets out of hand.
It can, yeah,
okay?
it sure can.
They'll never reveal the truth. There would have to be a landing at the White House before people would know the truth, because
Maybe the Washington Monument is
it's phallical.
Fallical. We'll be back in a little bit.
Fallacial. All right, we're back to Left, Right, and Blue. So Joey Chestnut won the hot dog eating contest at Coney Island for like the 150th time. So,
Do you know how many?
just reach
Do you know
across
what
there.
Do you know what the amount was? How many he ate?
I don't know, a lot. It's really disgusting. But what happened was is somebody protested.
It was like an animal rights person or something, right?
Yeah. And so let's take a look at
Let's take a look
at the little clip there. He comes in there and he gets him into a chokehold.
Oh yeah, look at this. Like straight up chokes him and throws him
And
down.
then he keeps eating.
And he just goes right back to eating.
And then he wins. That was fantastic. So, I mean, come on. It's what can you? It's ridiculous. But I forgot that.
That's okay.
But I just want to.
So I have 10 minutes to eat a hot dog.
I want to see. I get some hot dogs here to see what it's like to wolf down. And these are kind of hot though.
I think I'm pretty.
So
not too bad.
All right, so we're gonna race and see who can eat the hot dog fastest. But
I was not ready for this.
Sure, of course not.
Right.
That's all right. We're not gonna do it right now. But what do you think of the whole protesting during the?
You know, listen, I'm a liberal, so I always support a good protest.
I know you do. That's why I brought this up.
And I don't think protests are necessarily supposed to be convenient or polite. Having said that, this just is not, to me, very well thought out. It was like, it kind of reminded me of the one guy that like runs naked through the soccer stadium trying to get I get an animal rights protest. I understand it, but that was just the guy just looked foolish. I don't know that it.
And on top of
is
that,
anybody going, hey, maybe I shouldn't eat hot dogs now?
It was so fast that I had to pause it to see what the
sign was. Yeah, but apparently it was like an anti-pork Smithfield.
Was that but Nathan sponsors the hot dog.
Right, but I think Smithfield's gotten into some hot water with like quality of life of the animals that they.
But do they make hot dogs?
Smithfield does a lot with like sausage and like
but it was
processed
sponsored by
meats.
Nathan's.
But it's pork, so.
Well,
I don't.
Nathan's is beef, isn't it?
I don't know.
Sure
I don't eat either one of them, so I don't know.
Well, these are turkey dogs.
Yes, this is turkey.
Don't eat yet.
I'm not eating. I'm just
qualification here.
To get a relish.
I think. Well, I think the guy. Well, first of all, the Star Wars community bashed him. Because he was wearing a Darth Vader mask.
Oh, was he?
Like, we are not associated with this guy.
That video went so fast, I didn't even notice that guy was wearing a Darth Vader mask.
It said Smithfield's the dark side or something like that.
Oh,
okay. So he was wearing a Darth Vader mask.
All right.
So,
I'll give you a little bit more credit.
And he deserved to get into a headlock. But the fact that Joey Chestnut grabbed him in a headlock while he's eating the hot dog. And
what I'm waiting for is the protester to now sue Joey Chestnut.
Oh, you know what's going to happen. He's going to sue Nathan's for assault.
Emotional distress.
It's so funny. He kept eating the hot dogs and then he went right back to the contest. And
won.
on top of it. So that was pretty cool. All right, so
am I really gonna dunk this in water?
No, this is the water. You can do it any way you want, but we're gonna do it. And I'm gonna just hold on. Let me see. Make sure this is not gonna. I think it's fine. All right. Okay, so. I'm really full. I ate dinner too. So.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so here we go. Ready?
How do you want to do this?
Do whatever way you want. Ready?
Is it gonna be like 1, 2, 3, go, or is it gonna be like
1, 2,
1, 2, go? All right. So, or is it gonna be 1, 2?
How about just go?
All right, go.
Oh wow! How did you do that? Oh my god! I'm for it. Oh my god! You're at like 120 or something like that. Oh, this is nauseating. This is one hot dog. He'd be done with like 6 by now.
I know.
I thought this was gonna be so easy.
This is not easy.
Holy crap! I couldn't believe it.
Oh,
Oh my
that
god!
was horrible. Can you get like nitrate
I'm
poisoning?
done. I'm like, how the freak does he do this?
I don't even know. Oh.
I'm a big eater too. Thank God.
Oh,
And then he dipped it in the
God,
water.
don't do that. That's so gross.
Alright, I'm done.
I'm gonna say that. Wait, hold on.
Oh my God.
The liberal wins.
Take it. That was freaking disgusting.
That was horrible. Oh my God.
Holy crap.
That was gross.
Well, it was fun. Joey Chestnut.
Here's
Congratulations,
to you,
dude.
Mr. Chestnut.
I don't know how you do it, man. Holy crap. We'll be back.
Go back, man.
I have to go vomit.
Oh, that was horrible. All right, we're back. And, oh, by the way, it was 63? 63 hot dogs that Mr. Chestnut ate. We would like to thank you for stopping by Tim's living room and letting us enjoy some beverages and watch him yell at his wife. And
Shoot the dog away.
this last section, or this last segment, we're calling it What to Watch. So Tim and I have a long history of having similar tastes in movies and TV programs, and
For the most part.
For the most part. And the thing that I'm going to recommend is a show on Hulu called The Old Man with Jeff Bridges. It is I think it's a series. I think season 2 got approved. But in a nutshell, he is kind of this off-the-grid CIA agent that is kind of just trying to live a quiet life, and there is an attempt on his life, and he has to kind of reactivate himself in some way. And there's an entire backstory that unfolds that is kind of this unresolved thing that he's got to resolve. And I love Jeff Bridges all the way back to Tron. I've always been a fan of his.
Right.
And Jeff Bridges has got to be in his 70s at this point. And he's doing like fight scenes and stuff. Like, I thought it was, I'm caught up on the show right now, and I think it's fantastic. So if you guys have not seen it, it's called The Old Man on Hulu. Check it out. I'm a big fan.
Okay.
Go ahead. What are you suggesting?
All right. My show is weird, and it's
Science? Weird
it's
science?
science fiction-ish.
Weird science.
It's drama. It's just an odd show, but it's one of those shows that just like you're just glued to it and you can't figure out why. Okay, you're in the shot right now. Hi.
Hi.
Okay. So it's one of those crazy shows that are that you can't stop watching.
So what is it?
I can't remember. No, it's called Severance.
Okay.
It's on Apple TV, and what's so funny?
Your wife's she's like,
Oh,
here.
Yeah, she likes the show. No, so it's in it's they're making the second season.
Okay.
We watched the first season. It is really good, and it's one of those shows that has like a puzzle. Like Ben Stiller produces it, and a lot of the people in it are those kinds of people that you're like, I know him. You know, I know him.
Yeah,
You can't
okay.
really remember their name.
Sure.
John Turturro.
Yeah.
He's been already Transformers guy.
Yep.
He's in it. He plays an interesting character. And then
Nobody messes with the Jesus.
Christopher Walken is in it. Though.
Okay.
He's probably the biggest name in it.
All right.
And he is a very interesting character.
All right, let's check it out.
But yeah, it's one of those shows that you're trying to figure out where are they going with this.
So we're gonna each watch.
Let me-
Go ahead.
Let me give you a premise of it. So the premise is that to focus this company to have the workers focus on their work, they implant this thing into your head where when you go to work, you pass through and it like takes away all your memory of your life.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So the
only thing you have to focus on is what's.
and all you know is that work life, and then when you leave, you
Everything else
don't
pops
know
back in.
anything about the work life. So
Oh,
you
wow.
actually
Alright.
like split yourself into two different identities. All you know is you go to work and you have to go, and when you go there, you don't remember anything.
And then when you
when you're
leave-
at work, you know that you can't remember anything from when you.
Oh, all right.
So you have like two different. And
So
it shows,
is it like, are there episodes?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
I
it's
will
10
watch
episodes.
the first episode,
Yeah, watch the first episode,
and then you will watch the first episode of The Old Man.
and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what we thought.
Sounds great.
All right.
Let's wrap it up.
Good first show. I hope you guys all liked.
Thank you.
The first episode
Thank you.
of Left, Right, and Blue.
Thank you. All right.
And
And,
here's to next week.
And here's to you, Mr.
Prosperity
Chestnut.
and-
And we don't know how you ate 63 hot dogs,
God bless America.
but only if you like it.
See you later, everybody. Good night.